Hey everybody, thanks for clicking on the video. This is David Pendleton again, and I'm going to give you a detailed video walkthrough of the Extreme Hills tournament. So minus 14, a pretty good round to start off with in qualifying. We left a few shots out there to try to push our score up even better. So what you're going to get out of this today is you're going to get the spin adjustments, your elevation, some offsetting techniques, and I'll kind of pause the video as we go to show you where to line up some shots to help get you closer to the drops. I really hope you guys find this helpful. If you do, please subscribe. That helps me out. So let's go ahead and hop right into the replays, and we'll show you how this all breaks down. All right. So hole number one is a par 4. And what we're going to be doing on this hole is we're going to be using a quarterback, and we're going to be using a sniper. Now, the thing to know about the elevation on shot number one is it's going to be played at 20%. So if you're used to playing tour number 8 and you know your elevations, this is a 20% hole. And I feel the safest way to get an eagle on this hole is to lay up by the bunkers here and then use a sniper shot to go to the pin, because there is a funnel on the back of the green, which we'll show you. But we're going to use a quarterback, and we're going to use a katana. And we're going to do about 2.5 bars of topspin. And then we're going to take a regular shot with no overpower, and we will adjust with a 20% elevation. So this is what shot number one should look like. And for consistency, I'm lining my blue ring up by the rough line. So you'll see me move it to the rough. From here, it's 20% elevation. And we're not going to mess around with overpower or anything like that. We're just taking a normal shot. Now we'll pause for shot number 2, because if we can get this one to drop, it's going to be a significant advantage over the rest of the field, because I do know a lot of people are struggling getting the eagle on this hole. Now what we want to do is going to be very specific. I kept missing to the right. So Monday, Tuesday on both my accounts, missing to the right every single time. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to use 6 bars of backspin, and then we're going to put 1 bar of right spin on, and from there we're going to aim into the hole with the funnel, which you're going to see right now. I'll show you. So 6 back and 1 right, and then we're going to wiggle around here till we find a consistent funnel. So right there looks good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the right spin off because I kept missing right. And just so everybody knows, we're going to play this 10% elevation, and we're going to play at max distance of the sniper, even though we're not at max. So this is going to help us with 2 things. One, by playing at max, is this going to make us pull our adjustment more to the left, which is going to help avoid going to the right-hand side of the green, which is where I keep missing. And taking that spin off is going to help as well. So now you'll see that my ball guideline is no longer in the cup whenever I take that side spin off. So this is what your ball guideline should look like in the end. Okay, now this is much better because I was missing about a full green square to the right before. So obviously we didn't get the drop, but we know what we need to do. That's how we line the shot up. So all we have to do from here on now is take the max number and then subtract 0.2 rings from it. So if you're taking notes, write that down. So for example, let's say that it wants you to pull 6.3 rings. We'll just change it to 6.1 or 6.0. So take off 0.2 or 0.3, and that's going to put us in the cup. So it's very specific, but sometimes you have to be that way in order to get, the drops in a tournament. But again, this isn't a guaranteed drop. This is a good one if we can get to give us an advantage over the field. So that's hole number 1. Now, this is one I feel that we do have a very good lineup to the hole, and I'm going to walk you through this one as well. So hole number 2 is a par 3, and I think it's a very, very good chance for a hole-in-one. And I've got it a few times, so I'm going to show you those right now. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to be using a katana, and we're going to be using a 30% elevation. The reason we're using such a high elevation is because with the way the wind is blowing, I kept missing to the right, even though I was playing it perfect. This needs to be played at minimum distance of your sniper, and with using as much side spin as we want to, we kept going to the right-hand part of the cup, so we're just going to add elevation to make us pull more rings to the left. So 30% with the katana, and you're going to play this one at absolutely minimum distance of your sniper, and you're going to look for a 12 o'clock to a slightly 12:01 pull angle. So what that means, if you're not familiar with pull angle, is when you go to pull your rings, you always want the wind blowing north. But as you know, it doesn't pause there. The wind keeps moving. Sometimes it goes north to left, north to right, exactly north. You want to make it to where it only goes north to right. That's 12:01, like reading a clock. And the one consistent thing about this is going to be how much backspin you use. You're always going to apply 2 bars of backspin, and then we're going to be anywhere from 5.1 right spin up to 5.5 right spin. So if you're writing this down on a piece of paper, I'm going to tell you exactly how to get it, because I am getting the hole-in-one on this one very consistently. So right now with 5.9 wind, we know what we're going to do. 30% elevation at minimum distance of our sniper. We know it's going to be 2 backspin every single time, no matter because of the wind. But with a 5.9 mile per hour wind, we're going to move it 5.1 rings. So here we go. 2 back. 5.1 rings. And we're putting the orange, I should note this too. We're putting the orange ring right up on the rough hand, right up on the rough. So that's your landmark. So remember, if you choose to play like me, this is going to be 30% elevation. And this shot's going to drop very consistently. Perfect balls is always the key to everything. But look at the speed. The speed is perfect. And we're right in the cup. All right? So here it is again. This time it's 6 miles an hour. So just 0.1 mile per hour higher. But again, we're going to go 2 back. And we're going to do like 5.2 spin. Last time it was 5.1. This is 5.2. Another perfect shot. And you'll see perfect speed right into the cup. All right, so very simple as far as hole number 2 goes. So again, to recap, katana, minimum distance of your sniper, 30% elevation. You're going to put your orange ring on the rough line, and you're always going to apply 2 bars of backspin. From there, if your wind is 5.9 miles per hour or lower, you're going to be at 5.1 right spin. 6 miles an hour is 5.2. So that's 6.0 to 6.3. 6.4, I had to use 5.5 bars of right side spin to get into the hole. And a 6.4 so far is the highest wind that I've been hit with. But I've been able to drop this shot 3 times. So I am 3 out of 5 on it. The other ones I hit great shots, so I don't expect to make those. But every time I hit perfect, I was able to get the hole in one. So I think that's a really safe way to play it. So we'll move on to hole number 3. So hole number 3, I think I went too far there. No, we're good. Hole number 3, we're just going to be using top spin. So 5 bars of top spin. I'm not using any side spin. It's a pretty straightforward drive, as I'm going to do a 10% elevation, and then I'm going to push back up to max. You can see we're using about half of a ball of overpower into the bottom of the target. Now the thing with this is I don't mind using the Goliath. When you get this much distance, you're going to have to use a Goliath for the albatross opportunity, which I don't mind. I use a Goliath all the time, so I have a really good idea of how the ball rolls after, whenever it touches down on green or fairway. If you prefer to use a sniper, then you need to take off some of the top spin, and you need to take off some of the overpower, because if you get less yards on your drive, then that's going to allow you to take a sniper shot instead of the Goliath. But I'm getting very close to the albatross with the Goliath. On this particular next shot, you'll see, although it wasn't that close, it's an easy eagle, I do have a very good idea now of what to do to get the next shot to drop. So let's take a look at the next shot. It's going to be a Goliath at max distance. And here I applied 4 bars of backspin. And as you can see, because we're getting almost a 7-mile-per-hour tailwind, I left this, about 2 green squares short of the pin. Now I do that because I don't have a fully developed ball guideline, and I know the wind is going to push me again as soon as I hit the ball. So let's see it in action here. All right, so we'll pause right there because we're going to go past the pin. But here's what we need to do to fix this. You can see we're really close. If you take a look at the ball guideline there, we're about, 3/4 of a square off of getting into the cup. And we have plenty of distance with the shot because we came in a little hot. So what we're going to do to fix this, if you choose to play the same way I do, here's how we're going to fix this in the next round. We're going to use 5 bars of backspin instead of 4. We're going to leave it 2 green squares short just like we did, but then we're going to move our target area actually 1 green square over from the cup. So let me show you what I mean. All right, so that's where we aimed. So 2 green squares short, and we're aiming dead on with the cup. But I used 4 bars of backspin. It came in too hot. So I'm going to change that to 5. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my target over into the lighter green. So you see how I'm kind of in the dark green? So if you look at the rows of green that go into the pin, the cup's in dark green squares, which is where I'm lined up. Well, I'm going to line that up over to the lighter green in the dead center of the lighter green. And then that's going to help me get more towards the pin. And so the next round is going to be about getting this shot dialed in for the albatross. So we're close, but not close enough. But that's how we're going to fix it. And then we're going to get the albatross on this hole. That I can promise you at least once, which is going to be the goal. Okay, so the next hole is hole number 7. You can play this 2 ways, but I'm only playing it 1 way. I do know there's a quarterback rough bump at the top on the left-hand side there, above the bunker. It can be a dangerous shot because if you hit a great shot, there is a fear of going into the bunker. I've got this shot with a sniper almost completely dialed in for a hole-in-one, and the adjustments are very simple from way back here. So the first thing we're using is a Kingmaker. We're going to adjust at max distance of our sniper with 25% elevation. And you're going to use 1.2 bars of top spin. The 1.2 bars of top spin is going to be consistent no matter what the wind is. From there, it's all about just adjusting left side spin. And all the way from 5.0 up to 6.5, I've only had to go 3.1 left spin up to 3.4. So the nice part is there's not a lot of difference on the left side spin. So the spin is going to be very consistent no matter what the wind is on this hole. And you'll see it in action right here. And I'm going to show you the landmarks. So here's what we're looking for to line up. We want the blue ring on the rough line with the white ring on the sand line. That's where we're going to line up every time, and that's how we find consistency. Now, I tried this with 1 bar of top spin, and I just missed short barely 2 times. So today, I did a little bit more top spin. You can see here, I did a little bit more than 1.5, so call that 1.7 bars of top. And then I did about 3.1, 3.2 of left. And you'll see how nice of a shot this is. You're going to be able to get a hole-in-one on this hole, I think, very consistently by playing it like this. So we're there. The only thing is we're coming in too hot. That's the only problem we have right here. So if I was too short with 1 bar and I was too hot with 1.7, we're going to go to 1.2. 1.2, I believe, is going to be perfect speed to get this in the cup. But I do think that's going to be the easiest way to get the hole-in-one on this hole. But again, you know, there is a really, really good line for a quarterback rough bump. So you can play it however you want. But this is the way that I'm going to play it because I don't have to worry too much about spin. I know it's going to be 1.2, it's going to be 3.1 to 3.4 left, and we're going to get hole-in-ones on this hole. Okay, hole number 5. So I'm going to show you hole number 5 a couple different ways because I do have it figured out how to get down there to the green area where a lot of people are struggling. I've seen a lot of opponents get stuck in the trees at the top. I see a lot of opponents get stuck at the top having to shoot a massively downhill shot. Or I see a lot of people who actually make it down to the bottom, but they keep going in the sand. So let me tell you how to avoid that. First of all, we're using a Berserker. We're using a Power 5 ball, wind resistance 1. We want the wind. The wind is going to help us out. So don't use like a wind 3 Power 5. Use a wind 1 Power 5 or even a wind 0 Power 5 like a Snow Globe if you don't have any Berserkers. We are going to go full top spin and 2 left spin. There's no elevation on this shot, on this drive. But let me show you what you want your ball guideline to look like. You want your ball guideline to look like this. You want it to the left of those bushes. So just like that. From there, like I said, no elevation. And then push our target back up to max. Now we're using a lot of overpower with about half of a ball of right curl. And I even hit this one great, right? And we're able to sneak it through no problem. And get us a very simple chip in for the eagle. I know some people like to see the eagle shots. You know, so taking a shot with the wedge, do the full top spin. Pretty much just aiming at the right side of the pin because we're getting a little bit of a wind push to the left. Perfect shot. In the hole. Okay, no problem. So we'll show you the drive again with different winds. So last time we were in the 7 mile per hour. This is 6.4. So on this one, I tried to play it a little bit different today. I tried to take off 1 bar of top spin, you know, just to see if I wouldn't go as far down as I did yesterday. No elevation. The ball guideline to the left of the bushes there. I also did not push up to max just to see what would happen, but I used the same overpower and the same curl. And today I hit a perfect shot. And I didn't get down there as far as I did yesterday, but the nice part is this is still an easy shot because you get to use your wedge again. And same thing, full top spin, aim into the pin, and you drop the shot. But what we want to do is play it the way that I did yesterday. So again, we're going to stick with the full top spin. We're going to stick with the 2 left spin. We want our ball guideline to be right there to the left of the bushes. No elevation. And then push up to max. Full overpower, half of a ball of right curl, and we're good. Hole number 6. Hole number 6 is a little tricky, but we're getting there. So here's what we're looking for on hole number 6. Really, really simple, to be honest. Here's my landmark, is I'm using 1 bar of top spin, and then as much left side spin as possible. And I'm putting my ball guideline here right by the shadow of that tree. And again, I just do that to find consistency on every drive. But this is a really easy drive. It's going to be played with the quarterback. It's going to be played at 10% elevation with a Kingmaker. And the reason we're using a Kingmaker here is because of the second shot. We want a good amount of spin, and we want a good amount of power. And we're using just a little bit of left curl on the drive, like a baby amount. And you'll see that spin keeps us from going in the rough. So that's a really, really simple drive. I don't need to spend too much time on that. It's just a 1 bar of top and as much left as possible, 10% elevation, and then go for it. Now, shot number 2 is where it gets a little bit different, all right? Because shot number 2, if you don't line this up properly, when your ball hits the fairway, you get a nasty kick to the right-hand side. So you're seeing opponents go into the rough and into the bunker. You need to adjust for that right here. And let me show you what we're going to do. So we're using 5 bars of left spin and 4 bars of top spin. Now take a look where I'm aiming here. So look how far left of the pin I am. And you're going to see how this works. I'm playing this shot no elevation as well. I started off playing at 10% and I didn't like the way that it was going, so I'm going no elevation. No overpower, just a regular shot. Now look at the kick you get to the right-hand side. You notice it almost hit the rough, but if you line up that way, you're not going to hit the rough. You're going to be just fine. All right, so we almost get to albatross. So we're getting closer. So if you're taking your shot after watching this hole, well, what do you do? To try to get that to not go to the left-hand side of the cup, take off top spin. Instead of 4, let's try 3.5 or even 3. So the same amount of left spin is going to be good, but let's try to slow the ball down with top spin and see, with less top spin, and see if we can get that to drop. But that's very close. So that's one I'd like to get as well. All right, hole number 7. This is going to be played with a Guardian. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to play it at max distance of our Guardian. And we're going to go with as much backspin as possible and 2 bars of right spin. 20% elevation. And let me show you where I'm aiming here. Because I kept missing to the right when trying to do this. So I thought if I moved, so where I was aiming, so you can see right now I'm in the dark green rows. I was aiming in the middle of the light green rows, and I missed right. So what I tried to do here was move 1 square over exactly. So if I was in the light green, now I moved it almost over to the center of the dark green to stop missing right. So you can see that little bitty bounce there at the very end. That very little tip of the tail there on the last bounce is in the dark green squares, about 1/4 of the way over. So we make our adjustment. And of course, this time I missed barely to the left. So no problem. So now we're just going to split the difference. We're going to put that last little bitty tail right on the seam. So where I zoomed in, we're going to go a little bit more to the right on the seam where the dark green and the light green meet on those squares. And now we're going to be in the pin for the hole-in-one. Hole number 8. You know, this one I'm a little frustrated with because I haven't dropped the eagle yet, and I'm not 100% why, because I drop the eagle on tour 8 all the time on this hole. But I'm putting my yellow ring at the rough line there so that I can adjust my my drive with 20% elevation with a Kingmaker. 5 top, you know, 5 right, that's good. Using a little bit of overpower, you know, using a little bit of right curl. This is a pretty simple drive. Now, shot number 2 is played minus 10% elevation. So minus 10. In this example, I'm about medium distance of my thorn. But I keep missing left at minus 10, which is very confusing to me because, again, in tour 8, which I'm really good at, I drop this eagle all the time. And for some reason in the tournament, I haven't got it once yet. But that's okay. It's only qualifying. So I've been playing this minus 10, and I've been playing it medium distance, and here's what keeps happening. I keep missing like that to the left-hand side of the cup. So 15% elevation, minus 15%. Minus 15% is going to make me pull more rings, and I'll be good. So, you know, that's what I'm going to do here moving forward, is I'm just going to add elevation to the shot. I'm sorry, if I add elevation to the shot, so if I go from minus 10 to minus 15, it's going to make me pull less rings. And that's what I want. I want to pull less rings so that I make that shot. So I'm going to play at minus 15%. And then, you know, I know we're talking about a lot of, hey, I'm going to do this next round. I'm going to do this next round. This is only qualifying. If I start to drop these shots like I think I will, then I'm going to update and put another video out there for you. But, you know, this is good that you get to see my misses because it tells you, you know, we tell you how to correct it as you go. Because chances are, you know, if you're watching this, you know, you're missing some of the shots too. And so we can help each other correct them together. Hole number 9, pretty simple drive here as well. It's always nice on this hole to get tailwind. This is really easy, everybody. We're going to go, so the spin adjustment that you're looking at here is, for me, is I'm going full top spin. I'm going 4 bars of left spin. And then from here, I'm just doing a 10% adjustment. You know, 10% adjustment, push at the max, use a little bit of left curl. But again, I mean, this drive is so easy. You know, you have so much fairway to work with. It's really hard to mess this one up unless you just hit a really bad shot. But, you know, I don't have to push this shot too much. This is good, 400 yards. That's no problem for shot number 2. Shot number 2, again, guys, we're close. Each time through the qualifying days, I've gotten closer and closer. So I'm really excited about that. So here's what we're doing. You'll see me wiggle around here to find a good consistency. So you saw I used a lot of backspin, and I'm leaving it short of the cup because of the tailwind push. I'm playing this one max of my sniper with a 5% elevation. Okay, so what does that tell us, right? So it tells us, one, that at 403 yards, which is where I got on the drive, if I use that same backspin again, I'm dead on with the pin. So we know the backspin is good. So how do we get this to go into the hole for an albatross? Well, all I have to do really is move my landing spot over to the right. You saw that I put it dead on with the hole. I left it, about 1 to 2 green squares short of the pin because we're going to get a tailwind push after our ball hits down. So all I have to do now is just don't aim straight at the pin. Just move 1 full green square over to the right and get closer. If I barely miss the left-hand side, then I move a little bit more over next time. So that's how I dial in. Anyways, that's a -14 round right there. We left a lot of shots out there. You can see a -16, a -17 is definitely doable if you hit all of your shots. So -14 is a great starting point. Like I said,